Hello and welcome to PCTV on the Road. I'm Sean Sayre, Executive Director of Pittsfield Community Television, and I'd like to welcome you today to The Common here on 1st Street in Pittsfield, a wonderful, expansive city park that is fairly recently refreshed, renewed, rebuilt, and we have two fantastic guests here today that we're going to be talking about Shakespeare in the Park and the Common and all the wonderful uses that go into it. So let me introduce my guests now, Jim McGrath and Becky Manship, and they're both from the Department of Community Development in the City of Pittsfield, and I'm going to let them give us their full job title because there's no way I'm going to remember that. Jim,
thanks,
go
Sean.
right ahead.
Yeah, you're right. I have a pretty long title. You probably would have messed it up. I serve the city as the Park Open Space and Natural Resource Program Manager, and I work very closely with Becky, who is our
Recreation Activities Coordinator.
So between the two of us, I think we make a great team. Planning for new projects in parks, and where Becky sits, trying to make certain that we have great events happening in our parks and bringing in folks of all ages for various activities. So I think we make a great team, and happy to be here today at the Common. It's a sunny afternoon, and. Yeah. And it's a great perspective to be sitting here looking out over the park. There's so much activity on this Friday afternoon.
Yeah. And what a great venue to bring this program to viewers. So I'd just like to talk about that for a moment because the way that we see the Common today isn't the way it has been for the past 20, 30 years. Only recently, in the last few years, was the several phases of the Common finished off, and maybe you could talk about what that process was like as we were going forward with that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So, out of the Office of Community Development, we're constantly looking and at our assets that we have across the city, and particularly the park system. And we had an opportunity back in 2010 to work with the state to really have a fresh look at the Common here. This 7 acres downtown are really probably the most important real estate that the city owns in the city center. And for so many years, the Common was underutilized. It suffered from deferred maintenance.
Mm-hmm. It really was just a great big lawn, wasn't it? At one point,
yeah.
A lot of football games were played there, and sort of pickup games and things like that, but nothing real organized.
Yeah, then the carnival would come in, and we had football practice in the the junior football would be here. We had a playground which suffered from its own host of problems, and it really wasn't a desirable place to be. So we started working with the state in 2010 to reimagine what this place could be. And we reached out to all of the user groups, the athletic organizations, the folks who live in that grand structure behind us, the Central Annex. We spoke with daycare providers that utilize the playground, and we brought everyone together and we gathered their input, and we came up with what I think is a tremendous design which meets the needs of nearly all of those groups, with the exclusion of the athletic community. Mm-hmm. We made a very conscious decision to move athletics off of the Common.
Right,
and I think
City of Pittsfield also has some great facilities for football and soccer and lacrosse and baseball and other parts of the community as well.
We absolutely do. So we've accommodated them in other places, but what we see at the Common now is there's a real vibe about this place now, and with the new performance pavilion that we're sitting on, there's a real desire for cultural organizations to be here, like Shakespeare in the Park, and we're hosting events like the annual Beer Fest and other community events. So it's just been a tremendous pleasure to be a part of not only the design and construction of this, but now seeing how it's being utilized by the community and certainly by our own programming.
Yeah. And Becky, why don't you talk to that a little bit before we move on into the Shakespeare in the Park, which is obviously what we're here to talk about today, but some of the other recreational activities that go on with this wonderfully redesigned park.
Sure. So one of the things that are in the forefront of my mind as I'm looking out, I see the playground program. Mm-hmm. It's a program that we have for Pittsfield kids age 6 to 13. It's free to the Pittsfield residents, and so we have playground leaders, staff members from high school and college, mostly college-age kids going off to college, who supervise the kids in athletic activities, arts and crafts, board games, and definitely various games. And being here at the Commons very special now because of the splash pad and the basketball court and everything like that, and the gazebo because they have some shelter. And it's just really great because actually today we had a library day / the day at the Commons. So once they got done with the activities at the library, they came over here as the group because it's not just at the Common, it's also at Deming and Clapp Parks.
And you know, summertime activities for school-age kids are just so important because once they leave that classroom in June, and you know they have that long gap in between, and there's so much beyond the trouble that they could get into during the summer, it helps keep their minds active and to keep social interaction going. I mean, I can't think of something more important that the city and recreational department could be doing than, you know, keeping school-age kids active and having positive activities for them.
You know, and I'm glad you mentioned that because we think it is critically important. And for many, many years, the city Parks and Recreation Department has had a proud history of serving this community, especially during the summer months. You know, if you talk to anyone, you know, over the age of 50, they will tell you, I spent my summers at, you know, whatever park, at Durant Park or at you know, Allen Heights. You know, the city was able to subsidize playground leaders and activities at most all of the parks across the city. And that's where kids spent their days.
Right.
You know, and it was safe, and we had paid leaders there to supervise them, and there were games, and there was activities and sports and community.
Right.
And unfortunately, we can't do that at all of the parks now.
To the same level that we did 50 years ago.
But we do it at 3 parks.
Yep. And then we help out by funding one staff member of the YMCA Maryland Hamilton Youth program, that the literacy sports program that they have at Durant Park.
Great.
So a lot of what we're doing now is upholding tradition in the history of what we've offered over the years. We're doing it with a new twist and a new flavor, but we're responding to really what works. And the playground program works, and so we're happy to continue to invest in that, and you know, and provide, you know, young people with job opportunities, and so there's a myriad of reasons why we think it's critically important, and it's not really that expensive. So when we talk about the park system, we often talk about cost versus impact, and really this program is, you know, really it's low cost, but it has a high impact. The degree of its reach is vast.
Sometimes I think when we get into budgetary concerns, sometimes they look to cut the easiest things that are there to cut, and sometimes you look at sort of soft programs like that, and you say, well, you know, what do we need it for? Well, we need it because it's cost efficient. It's something that, you know, you're making an investment in kids, and you're making an investment in community and recreation, and those are things that we shouldn't be taking advantage of. You know, we should keep thinking of that as a core service, as something that we want to do as a community. That's and like you said, is a great return on it.
So we will leave the budgeting and the larger financial decisions to you know, to those
the powers that be.
Right.
Those that have that in their wheelhouse. Where Becky and I sit, you know, we certainly are great advocates, but at the same time, I think, you know, what we're given to work with keeps us nimble and keeps us flexible, keeps us on our toes.
And creative. Partnerships are really huge these days because quite a few programs, because we offer more than just the playground program. We offer, next week, it'll be our soccer program, 3-day soccer program just for kicks. We partner with Pittsfield Soccer Club and Sports Domain Academy to offer that 3-day, 2-hour-a-day camp. And then we partner with the schools to school athletic department and Jim Abel for our golf program called Sticks for Kids, because we've gotten a grant from the National Recreation and Park Association and the Golf Course Builders of America, and to get golf clubs for kids. We do that, and then we'll be having a volleyball program here at the Common just for 2 days for a couple hours each day on August 7th and 8th, and that's called Dig This, and that's a newer program.
Okay.
This is the second year that that's running. And then we also have our outdoor movies that run every Friday night.
Right.
So it looks like tonight we'll be able to get it in
Weather
because
permitting, right?
right, always weather permitting.
And all of these programs Becky's speaking
Are
about,
free.
if they're free to the community, and if there's not a paid staff person, either Becky or her
Volunteers
seasonal staff,
are huge.
they're all being assisted by volunteers. And we're not paying these folks, and they're here, they're giving their time.
Well, what pops into my head, too, is the tow rope at Osceola Park,
Yes.
which I can guarantee you we will not be doing a PCTV on the road at Osceola Park
You don't
because
wanna
it's
do that.
too cold. However, it would be a lot of fun going down in a tube with a camera.
Jim and I are often staffing that, and that's one of our favorite things in the winter, just to get out there.
My kids loved it.
But
when
it's
they were at
cold.
that age, yes.
You will not find another park system in
No.
Massachusetts that offers a free rope tow.
Yeah, that's
like
That was one of the
That's-
surprise things coming into this job 10 years ago that,
Right.
I didn't really know anything about. And then all of a sudden I got my feet wet and
Yeah.
fueled
Great.
by fire. So
So we're sitting here on the pavilion at the Common, and I'm sure if the crew people take a wide shot, they can see what is behind us. And it is just a fantastic set for Shakespeare in the Park that's going to be happening tonight. Happened last night, and this is the, I want to say, third year that this program has been going on?
At third year at the Common.
Third year
It's
at
the-
the
so
Common.
4th year overall because
Okay.
it began the first year at Springside Park.
So tell us some of the origins of the program, how it got started, and how we've gotten to today.
Sure. So I think I think it comes back to, at least for being at the Common here, it comes back to when the community really started to influence the design of this space. They said, "Hey, we would really like to have a fixed space where art and cultural events could happen out of." Obviously, everyone has seen the big pink stage that we
Yeah.
pull around and we take to
Absolutely.
Live on the Lake and Third Thursdays.
It's gotten a lot of mileage, that
It
stage.
absolutely
It
has.
has.
But sort of reimagining a performance stage, this is what we came up with, this very handsome, very simple structure at the south end of the park, which opens up onto the lawn and has an amazing vista and is very versatile. And I think Shakespeare, in parallel, Shakespeare was, and Enrico Spada had wanted to bring Shakespeare to a city park and offer it for free for the community. And it started at Springside, and it was very successful. And then the second year this space was available, and it was a natural that we invited them into the park.
Sure.
We're so happy that they're here. We're happy that folks are coming to this park, 12 nights over the summer, folks that maybe have never been to Pittsfield or to the Common, that they're coming here and they're seeing, very professionally put on production of Shakespeare. It just, I think, on so many levels hits the right note.
Right. And I'm looking at it, it's a very professional looking production, just from a technical standpoint, which is one of the things that we always tune into. I'm seeing the light stanchions, I'm seeing the sound. This is a real performance and a fantastic experience, I think, for the guests here. I must admit that I have not seen one yet, so I'm about to see one tonight.
Oh,
And,
boy,
and I
Sean.
can't wait.
As
Good
part
work.
of the Pittsfield Parade Committee, I volunteer. We try to help volunteer staff, for handing out programs or just finding or showing people the seats and everything like that. So I've been able to see a couple of them, and there's nothing else like it, I
Yeah.
feel like, because it's just the community gathers together on this great space, and it's just remarkable to see people all performing on this stage.
Well, it also sounds like you have a great amount of cooperation, volunteer coordination going on to make this an effort that everybody can appreciate.
That's absolutely right. And it's not only here.
Right.
We'd be remiss if we didn't mention, every Little League coach and,
Yes.
Of course.
and parent that assists at the fields, and, folks that the Boy Scout troops that come out for playground cleanups. We have so many in this community that want to help.
Yes.
There is an absolute need, and when the phone rings, we don't turn people away. We find a place to plug them in, and we find a way to use their skills and talents. And frankly, we couldn't do what we do without them.
No.
You know, we have a vast park system with over 40 properties between the parks and the school grounds and the conservation properties. The public services parks maintenance crew maintains all of that, and there's over 40 properties. So, and we have a very small crew.
Well, of course, Pittsfield has a tremendous history of great parks and also of volunteerism. And so when you bring those two things together, you have something magical that happens. Yeah,
and it's really wonderful to see. You know, this is such a great community, and you know, I spend my days in one particular slice of it, and you know, and I'm very aware of what happens and how the rest of this community responds to needs and opportunities, and just helping each other out. There seems to be a real prideful moment around parks, and we're happy to be a part of that.
Yes, we sure are.
Yeah. And you know, I think one other thing that strikes me about this, as we're sitting here on the set of Shakespeare in the Park, that'll be happening this evening, whenever this program is shown, I'm sure we'll have shown that program a number of times also, is how well it integrates and ties in with arts and culture in the Berkshires. For people that may be watching this who don't live here year-round and maybe come here once in a while and catch this on TV, and they say, you know what, this is one more thing that reinforces why I'm here in the Berkshires, because this is something that attracts me, and that it's things like this that are offered. It makes perfect sense.
Well, where else? Sorry, Jim.
No, it's okay.
But seriously, where else? Because I grew up in New Hampshire, and we were, 20 minutes away from Hampton Beach, the seacoast. But we were two hours away from hiking or lakes or this or that. So where else is the greatest place, we're 10 minutes away from skiing or the lakes or a beach or the rail trail or anything like this. I mean, the vast park system that we have, we have it all right here in Pittsfield and the Berkshires, and it's just phenomenal.
Really, the only thing you have to drive to from the Berkshires is the ocean.
Yes, that's true.
You can't quite recreate that. You do have the splash pad here.
You're right.
So that's close.
Yeah, the splash pad is probably... people they flock to it like it is the ocean.
Yeah, right.
Frankly, there is that thing seems to be operating from from the time it's activated to the time the timer turns it off.
Right.
It's you look over here now. There's a dozen kids over there, and they're having a great time, and that's really what we want. We want them to come here, have a great time with their family, with their friends. Get some exercise, and go home with a smile on their face.
Right.
And if we've done that, I think we've succeeded.
Yeah, and I got to say one more thing that sort of ties it into accessibility now is the reconstruction across the street of the First Street parking lot, which again, was in need of repair. It got done, and I'm sure a lot of people are very happy about that. But coming in and out and using the common now, it should be much more straightforward. It's just a quick walk across First Street and you're here.
Right. And the farmers market, I'm sure will appreciate it. It's great having the farmers market here too on Saturdays, just to come and do a walk around, and then if families bring the kids, then they can go and use the playground and the splash pad and the basketball court, and it's all right here.
Yeah, we've really, and this administration and previous administrations have really made an effort to look at downtown and address not only the look but the feel and how it works. Streetscape has been remarkably successful. We need to continue to take care of our assets, our infrastructure, our parking lots, our parks.
Yeah. It's really a process that's never done, is it? And it's really more of a long game type of event. It's not something that you're going to fix everything in 1 year, 5 years. It really has to have a long-term vision.
Yeah, and this mayor especially has been very good, and the city treasurer Matt Kerwood have been great about helping the city look at sort of the 5 to 10 year range and really detail out those capital needs, not only so we could begin to plan for them and but also to understand the financial impact of how we can get those done.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I just want to say thank you very much for being here with us today and answering all those questions, and thanks for all your work over the years and putting this together and all the other great programs that you guys do with the City of Pittsfield. So, I certainly appreciate it. My family has appreciated it, And I know a lot of viewers that are watching have also appreciated it too. So
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you so much.
Jim McGrath and Becky
Thank you.
Manship from the City of Pittsfield, we thank you very much for being here today. And folks, thanks again for joining us on PCTV On the Road. I'm Sean Sayre, and join us next time. Thanks.